How powerful will a person with two abilities be? Thien Nan is a poor and miserable young man in the academy who has nothing outstanding, so his girlfriend dumped him after she found someone new. Dumped? He must become the strongest person and make everyone kneel at his feet. Since then, Thien Nan has been training hard. He discovered that he had two abilities, both having the powerful and mysterious dark power and being able to manipulate space and objects. Therefore, his path to becoming the strongest was not far away. Hundreds of years ago, humans appeared on Earth. They relied on various sciences and technologies to occupy the planet where humans could exist. This story begins from Trungden Star. Inside many administrative stars, human science and technology have become very advanced. But the rich are still rich, and the poor are still poor. Thien Nan is also one of them, a poor person like him who is despised and humiliated, even his girlfriend could not keep. He was born in a slum 5 years ago. He was led by a benefactor to the Trungden Academy to study. He worked hard to repay his parents and those who helped him. He worked day and night for his girlfriend who had lived with him for several years. But she looked down on him and left him for someone else. Facing her ex-boyfriend, he could only leave helplessly. On the way back, Thien Nan was invited by a beautiful woman to a bar. Because he felt the wine was too good, he soon got drunk and put his face down on the table. Suddenly, a strange girl came to chat with him. Thien Nan only asked her one question, whether he was like a normal man or not. After a while of talking, the girl found him interesting. She said that their encounter was her luck, but it was still his misfortune, so they went to the hotel together that night. The next morning, Thien Nan woke up and felt a terrible headache. What was even stranger was that he was not wearing anything. He lifted the blanket and saw a blood stain. Thien Nan blushed and realized that he had taken the virginity of someone else's daughter. Then he found a projector nearby, probably left by her. Under Thien Nan's astonished eyes, the projector suddenly turned on. The image of the woman from last night appeared clearly. She said that she had left before Thien Nan woke up and also paid for everything. The reason she chose him was because of some unavoidable reasons. She also assured that he would definitely know in the future. After that, the girl looked at Thien Nan with enthusiasm and said that he was interesting. Because last night he said he was a normal man 167 times. This sentence directly made Thien Nan's face red. But before he could get over his embarrassment, the girl said that she had to go, and then apologized to him for the incident the day before. She tilted her head and asked Thien Nan with concern if he seemed to have lost love because he looked a bit disappointed. Not only that, the girl also guessed that he might have been humiliated. After hearing this, Thien Nan fell silent, looking down in sadness. She saw this and gently stroked his face with her hand, advising him not to care too much about what others say. If you want to live happily, do what you want, she assured him that as long as he tries, good luck will surely come. In front of Thien Nan's surprised look, she gently said that these were the words her mother had once told her. Now, she is passing them on to him as a form of compensation so that he can be happy again. After saying this, the girl left, leaving Thien Nan in a state of confusion. He looked at the projector and silently thanked her. After a while, Thien Nan's mood finally stabilized. He stretched his shoulders, full of enthusiasm, and said he would make a detailed plan to start a new day. But soon after, he was shocked to realize that today was the graduation ceremony. So, Thien Nan quickly got dressed and moved outside. In his heart, besides his parents and the teacher who had led him out of the slum, the most important thing was still studying. At the Trungden Comprehensive Academy, Thien Nan knew very well that this opportunity was not easy to come by. He wanted to improve his parents' living conditions in the future and step out of the slum in a dignified manner. He always strives tirelessly in his studies when other students look down on him. He is studying when other students are indulging in various pleasures in Trungden City. He is still in the process of acquiring knowledge, and in these 5 years, he has never stopped learning. The scene changes, and by now it's evening. He realizes he doesn't have much time left. Thien Nan takes a risk and uses the flying technique to fly over the academy, even though this action seems quite dangerous. The flying technique is a method developed by the academy's professor based on cosmic energy. But because of the existence of the wall, those who have money don't need to learn the flying technique. After all, pleasure is the most important thing. Only poor people like Thien Nan have to use this injury-prone method to travel. The Cosmic Alliance, after overcoming the national system, was formed by the Congress to take charge of everything. This Congress is divided into 2 houses, upper and lower. The 2 houses regulate each other and decide the direction of development of the entire Galaxy Alliance. The military is directly under the control of the Congress, and the most important military power is formed by the 10 fleets. Each fleet has the ability to easily destroy a planet. The 10 commanders, the warships, are allocated by the commander-in-chief of the military to be stationed in different star regions under the jurisdiction of the star. On the outer ring of the Cosmic Alliance, cosmic energy is a kind of cultivation method that humans have self-explored and researched on their own bodies hundreds of years ago. And now, the metamorphosis technique, researched by scientists, can use cutting-edge scientific equipment to make the target population metamorphose and regenerate. This makes survival more suitable, or simply, the superior can carry out the metamorphosis technique to achieve immortality. The inferior people can only cultivate cosmic energy. It seems that they have little hope to survive. Born in a shabby slum, Thien Nan did not even have the qualification to cultivate cosmic energy. Perhaps because of his good luck, he met a caring teacher. That day, the teacher appeared in front of him and asked him if he wanted to become a strong person. Thien Nan did not think much and immediately agreed. He was worried that a fool like him could not become a strong person. Thien Nan was very determined and said he would try. After receiving the answer, the teacher told him not to tell anyone about his appearance before he was 20 years old. He could not apply cosmic energy to other aspects and could only cultivate flight techniques. Thien Nan was so small that he could not even recognize the words, but he agreed with the teacher and kept his oath. He has been working hard for 3 years. Back to the present time. At this time, the loudspeaker from the academy announced that Thien Nan had to measure his eyes again, and also informed that the Education Institute would reserve the right to punish him because he had been out all night. After going through the verification process, he was allowed to go to the hall to attend the graduation ceremony. Thien Nan hurriedly ran inside. Luckily he still had half a minute. Just then, a loud noise came from afar. When Thien Nan turned his head, a collision occurred. He saw himself holding his hands on the ground and a girl looking at him with a very unhappy face. Seeing Thien Nan appear in front of her, the girl wondered why he was here. He heard that and happily boasted that he was 20 years old and could start learning other physical techniques. But in response to his enthusiasm, she only had a very indifferent tone. Thien Nan felt puzzled and just stood there looking at her. At this time, the girl seemed to have lost patience and asked him not to come to her in the future. The answer was like a thunderbolt. He quickly asked her the reason. Because their relationship had been very good before. She heard that and quickly denied that it was just his illusion and he was still stubbornly holding on to that oath. Thien Nan's face became very sad. He asked her if the most important thing of a person was not the promise. He even begged her to give him a chance. But everything he did was coldly rejected by the girl. She looked at Thien Nan with disgust and said that they had ended because he could not give her what she needed. Thien Nan heard that and was silent for a while, then slowly asked if she had someone else in her heart. Seeing that the truth had been exposed, the girl did not hide it anymore and directly told him to leave. Because in a while, a person named Awakens would come to find her. Moreover, she warned him that if Awakens saw him, she could not guarantee that he would not do anything to him. Then she went into the room and left Thien Nan in pain. Back to the present, the principal called Thien Nan's name to receive the diploma. Although he had called many times, he did not react at all. He had no choice but to raise his voice and say it again, successfully getting his attention. As soon as Thien Nan arrived, he was sternly reprimanded by the principal. He questioned why Thien Nan had only just appeared, asking if he didn't want to graduate. After hearing this, Thien Nan apologized sincerely. At that time, whispers and discussions were constantly surrounding him, all pointing at him. A moment later, the host called for Thien Nan to come on stage to receive his diploma. This made him extremely anxious because, apart from the academy's teachers, only students who were disciplined had to appear on this stage. The superior rich students in the audience were also constantly sneering and guessing. Some even thought he had stolen something from others. Under the scornful laughter of the students below, Thien Nan timidly stepped onto the stage, waiting for the death sentence that was about to come. However, contrary to Thien Nan's fear, the principal put his hand on his shoulder to reassure him. At the same time, he announced to all the students that Thien Nan had become the top graduate, deserving the Academy's badge and a scholarship of 1,000 cosmic dollars. The atmosphere became strangely quiet, and everyone was shocked, looking at Thien Nan. As for him, right after that moment, he felt like everything was a dream. Facing countless daily ridicules and enduring humiliation, he was now extremely grateful. Fortunately, the Academy did not abandon him, and he did not abandon himself. Thien Nan bowed and thanked the principal, but he refused to accept his thanks. Instead, he told him to thank his own efforts. At this time, there was constant discussion below, mostly negative. They said Thien Nan cheated and even flattered the principal. The principal, getting angrier by the day, glared at them. Of the 27 departments in the academy, they were all nobles' children, but not many passed. At this time, an arrogant student replied that it was just a graduation title, no need to work hard. The principal, after hearing this, showed a disgusted face, saying that after negotiating with the dean, apart from Thien Nan, no one was allowed to graduate. This directly scared the superior students below. Oi King, angry, stepped onto the stage. He said it was unfair for the principal to do so, and everyone, including him, was very dissatisfied with his decision. The principal sternly told him that he did not have the qualifications to comment on others, and also affirmed that Thien Nan's achievements in the 27 departments were excellent. Oi King, hearing this, was so embarrassed that he became angry. He stepped closer to Thien Nan and whispered in his ear that such an excellent student couldn't even keep his woman, letting her run to him every day. After hearing this, Thien Nan bit his lip to suppress the anger burning in his heart, and finally asked why he was targeting him. Oi King looked at him disdainfully and mockingly said that he had overestimated himself too much. He even said that a stinky bug like him should curl up in a corner and eat dung. Flying in front of others will surely get you beaten up. At this time, Thien Nan gradually realized one thing: he had ignored the humiliation of those people and made them treat him like a target for bullying. They did not even treat him like a human being. The rejection and contempt from the superior students under the stand, plus the words like rubbing salt into the wound from the bastard Oi King, directly stimulated Thien Nan. He silently called his name, and a thick black energy quickly appeared and surrounded him. In front of the astonished and frightened eyes of the people present, the head of the bastard Oi King was immediately cut off. The scene changed. At this time in a large villa, a man respectfully knelt and reported to the person in front of him that he had not found the young lady. Seeing the worried look of the man, the fake leader asked him back. She sat on the couch, gently lifted the wine glass in her hand and said coldly to the man that he had followed her for more than 10 years, then did he think he could hide anything from her? She stroked her hair and asked him to tell everything he knew. Seeing that Lewin hesitated and did not want to answer, she warned him that if he could not say it, he should go and find the Judge Finey himself. Lewin heard that and was embarrassed. He said that it was not his intention to hide it. But before he could finish, he was interrupted by the fake leader. She wondered if Lam Lam had done something beyond the rules. Lewin had no choice but to tell the truth. He said that he had found the room where Lam Lam stayed. But his words after that directly made the fake leader's face become more and more pale. Lewin said that he had recorded the events that happened in the room and invited her to watch. As soon as he turned on the device, the image of the room appeared in front of them. The fake leader looked closely and saw a bloodstain on the bed sheet. She lost control and smashed the wine glass in her hand. At the same time, she used her power to shoot thousands of ice crystals at Lewin. Facing his fearful expression, the fake leader coldly ordered Lewin to tell what happened. Seeing her angry expression, Lewin was pale and explained that he had investigated and found out that their young lady and Thien Nan had been in that room. According to the waiter, he recognized that he was a student of the Trongdin Academy. After a while, the fake leader finally calmed down. She thought that the young lady was avenging herself. She asked Lewin to use his name to issue some information to search for the whereabouts of the young lady Lam Lam in the whole Galaxy Alliance. But after thinking for a while, she changed her mind and told him not to spread the news because it was a bad thing for the family. Instead, the fake leader ordered Lewin to catch Thien Nan and investigate everything about him clearly. Lewin heard that and quickly obeyed and left, leaving the fake leader alone in the room. Thien Nan remembered the images at that time. He told the bastard Oi King to disappear quickly. Then he lost his head. He woke up on the bed and realized that he had killed Oi King. He had indeed felt a sense of controlling power. He looked and saw that his spiritual force was unusual. Could it be that the unusual spiritual force had produced that kind of power? Thien Nan reached out to the bottle in front of him, intending to control the bottle. He kept looking at it, telling it to fly, but it was only when his emotions really surged that the bottle could float. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door from outside, and he quickly rolled up the blanket and lay down as usual. Was the spirit really as powerful as a certain scientist had said? Not only the spirit, but it seemed to be the ability to manipulate space. The two teachers came to visit him, and Thien Nan sat up and said that he had just woken up. The principal asked him if he had noticed anything about Oi King's death the other day. Thien Nan said that when Oi King's neck was bleeding, he was very scared, his mind was dizzy, and then he fainted. The principal told him not to worry and congratulated him on becoming the top graduate. Tian Nan suddenly fell into deep thought. He had graduated after 5 years of study. He could return to the city where his family lived and find a good job with this reputation. In this way, he could support his parents. The principal said that he had received his bonus, and they had to leave first. Tian Nan felt that they might suspect him of awakens' death. The two outside felt like he didn't know any news. But if awakens' father had determined that awakens' death was related to Tian Nan, he would not let it go easily. The principal replied that even if awakens' father was the head of the Loi Dong group, if he dared to make trouble, he would report it to the Holy Ming. Tian Nan sat in the room as if he had heard all the spiritual forces again. Could he hear what others were saying so far away? The teacher who came with the principal said that no one in this alliance dared to violate the dignity of the Holy Ming. But the principal told him to shut up, and there were things that couldn't be said casually. Tian Nan heard all these things. He didn't expect Oi Kang to be the son of the head of the Loi Dong group. It seemed that the extension of spiritual force had reached its limit, and if he left here, he would be in danger. But could he continue to live in this academy? His eyes became determined. Even if the academy agreed, there was nothing more to gain from the academy. He suddenly remembered what the girl had said the other day. If he wanted to become stronger, he had to work hard. Everyone was laughing at his weakness, but from now on, Tian Nan would not show his weakness to anyone. Tian Nan pulled out the wire that was connected to his body. He felt extremely painful, but he quickly regained his composure. He quickly sat on the bed and cultivated until the afternoon. When he opened his eyes, the first person he saw was Master Dat Mong. He was the one who had brought Tian Nan to the Din Tong Academy. According to him, Tian Nan's aptitude and innate talent would be buried if he stayed in that poor place. For the past 5 years, all the expenses of Tian Nan at the academy were supported by Dat Mong. Besides his parents, Dat Mong was the person that Tian Nan respected and appreciated the most. Dat Mong heard that the academy had graduated him and also gave him a scholarship of 1,000 cosmic dollars. He said he would send back the 1,000 cosmic dollars to him, but he refused. Dat Mong sensed that something had happened to his body and asked him if he could tell him. Tian Nan asked him if he also knew about his situation. And then Tian Nan told him everything that had happened. He said that after he woke up, his mental power had changed a bit. Dat Mong was shocked to hear this and wondered if he had told anyone else. He warned him not to tell anyone else, or it would bring him big trouble. Tian Nan asked him what his spatial power was. Dat Mong was surprised that he had such talent and said that there were some things that he better not know. He told him to trust him and he would not harm Tian Nan. As for Oi Kang, Dat Mong told him not to think too much and went to check the situation. Tian Nan then asked him curiously what a saint was. Dat Mong frowned and told him not to ask such questions anymore, and not to anyone. He saw Dat Mong leave and bowed and thanked him. He thought to himself that Dat Mong had helped him too much and he would never cause any trouble for him. The next morning, Tian Nan packed his belongings and prepared to leave the academy, but suddenly there were some strangers behind him. The masked people quickly recognized him as Tian Nan. They immediately put a knife to his neck and surrounded him. The leader told him to be obedient and follow them. But Tian Nan did not want to cooperate. He quickly used his flying technique to escape. But they did not give up on him. Tian Nan thought that as long as he ran out of the city and hid, he could shake them off. Suddenly something flew past his face. Tian Nan looked and saw a thunderbolt cannon in front of him. It fired a stream of energy at Tian Nan. He tried to run away, but failed. Then he did not expect a shield of ice to protect him. They noticed that someone was helping him and were very surprised. The leader of them was determined not to let him go. He ordered to continue firing, determined to kill him. Then someone else attacked them. The extremely hard ice shards flew straight at them, breaking their knives that they used to defend. Then there were screams. They were injured more than half. They did not know where the expert came from, and did not know what to do. They still stubbornly continued to fire and kill Tian Nan. The deadly energy was immediately fired down at Tian Nan. He saw that it was over. This time he was dead for sure. A voice rang out and told him to rest assured, he would not die. And then the bullet fired from the cannon disappeared. He was gradually swallowed by the strange ice block. Thanks to this, Tian Nan was saved. Facing the group of people on the ground, the strange man said they had violated the laws of the Central Galaxy. As a steward of the Holy Ming, he had the right to destroy them. They recognized him as a manipulator, Jia Lam. They were special assistants of the Lloyd Dong group, but he bluntly said he didn't care who they were. He said that they had violated the laws of the Galactic Alliance, but for some reasons, he temporarily didn't want to trouble them. However, he wanted him, so he drove them away. Although they didn't want to, they had to let it go to save their lives. He also told them that they knew very well the consequences of provoking him. He gave them 10 seconds to leave, so they quickly left and spared Thien Nan. The man just now was from the Holy Ming, someone they shouldn't provoke. So they decided to go back and leave everything else to the head of the group to decide. Thien Nan just landed and thanked the man for saving him. But he said that he actually didn't want to save him, he just wanted him to follow him. Thien Nan thought, wasn't he just escaping a disaster? Could it be that he was now falling into the tiger's mouth? He tried to refuse, saying that he still had other things to do and couldn't go with him. Then he flew away, and the man chased after him, but he didn't expect Thien Nan to dare to turn back and hit him. But his body was too hard, almost breaking his fingers. He didn't want Thien Nan to escape, so he used his power to freeze his body. With the cold power, Thien Nan was stuck and couldn't move. His body immediately fell from the sky, and the man reached out to grab his clothes to hold him back. Then he took him away at a very fast speed. His vision became blurred. Was this the flying technique that humans could achieve? He tried to ask the man why he caught him. Wasn't he afraid of violating the law? He said he was the law himself. He asked if he still remembered the girl from the night before. But Thien Nan couldn't forget it, so he had to go and face it. Otherwise, he would always feel guilty. As soon as he arrived, the man told him to be careful when talking later. Thien Nan saw that the girl's house was a bit ostentatious, as it was completely wrapped in thick layers of ice. The man reported to the head of the Kong family that he had brought Thien Nan here. When he found him, he was being threatened by the Lloyd Dong group. The woman gently said that he didn't need to care about it here, and told him to step back. Without her permission, no one was allowed to enter. Thien Nan recognized this person. He asked her what she wanted from him. She quickly asked him how he knew Lam Lam. Thien Nan pretended to be clueless. He innocently asked who Lam Lam was. Then he was quickly summoned by her sharp ice shards that pointed at his neck. She told Thien Nan not to play dirty tricks with her unless he wanted to die. Thien Nan said that he obviously did not want to die. If she wanted to kill him, he could not do anything, but he should at least know why. She quickly dropped her weapon and told him his whole information. She said his name was Thien Nan, a student of the Dintong Cosmic Academy, class 335, with excellent achievements. He was the only student of this class who graduated smoothly. He had been to Mongguin City and drank 5 glasses of wine. Mongguin bitch 6, worth 600 cosmic dollars. The person who drank with him that night was Lam Lam, and she was her biological mother. She said he had taken away the most precious thing of her daughter, so he needed a proper explanation. She also asked him how he knew Lam Lam and what his purpose was. Thien Nan calmly apologized. He was afraid that his answer would not please her. How did he get to Lam Lam? He did not know. After he sobered up, there was a blood stain. He did not know what she had done that night. Lam Lam's mother was furious when she heard that her daughter had taken the initiative. The ice shards around her grew bigger. She said Lam Lam had received a good education, so how could she do such shameless things? Thien Nan was scared then. He said he could see that she had a noble status. Lam Lam might have been well educated, but he did not lie a single word. He could only say that he had taken her virginity in a dream, but he was willing to take the responsibility of a man. Lam Lam's mother was even angrier. She did not know what status he wanted to have to touch her daughter. To her, he was not even a dog. Thien Nan wanted to make it clear that he was a human, not a dog. He had nothing now, but he might not be the same in 10 years. His power came from a mutation, but there was nothing that a hardworking person could not do. She might have a noble status now, but what about her previous generation? If he could survive, could she be sure what he would look like in 10 or even 20 years? He was confident because of his self-belief. He had a firm belief based on his heart that was not afraid of hardship. After he spoke about himself in such a way, it shocked Lam Lam's mother. She then laughed and said that perhaps he didn't know he had fallen into Lam Lam's trap. Perhaps he had never thought about it, but the price she had to pay seemed too heavy. He felt a little guilty and said that if she was willing, he could make up for it. Yuna also gave him a chance. His words of making up saved his life. He said it was not wrong that through human effort, one could reach where faith pointed, but fate was also important. Yuna said that within 3 years, if he reached the level 10 of the head manipulator, he needed to do 3 things for their clan. And if he couldn't do it, she would make him perish. Tian Nan understood what everyone was saying, that they were the law of the Trung Ding star. It seems to be true, but Yuna explained that he only knew that in Trung Ding star, there is the highest government agency to handle all military events. But he did not know that Yuna was the one who really held Trung Ding star, with the power to decide or deny everything. To understand more about the concept of the head manipulator. Today, he discovered that he could use his spirit to control objects. Yuna understood that he could use his spirit to spy on a not far away location, so he could create Awakens' death at that time. Because he was too angry, he thought that if he died, it would be good, and then he felt a sense of control. Yuna understood the situation and said that he was now the lowest level manipulator, called So No. It seemed that he had not yet reached level 1. Yuna advised him to remember what she said next and definitely not tell anyone else. Yuna thought he didn't want anything to happen to his parents. Tian Nan was a little angry at this point. He didn't want to use the 2 words despicable on Yuna's noble status, but in her dictionary, there was no such word. In the Galactic Alliance, there was an organization that manipulated everything. In the Alliance, this organization was called the Holy Ming, an alliance of all those with special abilities to protect justice. This was because a level 20 head manipulator could fight on par with a low-level warship. Usually, the combined strength of the elders was enough to fight on par with a divine-level fleet. She said that he could feel it later. Before he left, Lionel would guide him on the necessary things, and the time was 1 month. Unexpectedly, Tian Nan then had a request, which was to see Lam again, which made Yuna a little angry. She wanted to know where the girl was because she didn't want him to bully her. After saying that, she yelled at him to get out. As he was about to leave, she called him back. She wondered if she looked back to see if she had anything wrong. She crossed her arms and solemnly told him that this matter could not be told to anyone because it involved Lam. He could only nod his head and quickly step outside. He felt as if he had just escaped from a difficult gate. As soon as he left the door, Luan called him to another place. He gave him something blue, and as soon as he held it, it melted into his palm. He explained that this was the metal of the Saint Manipulator, which could help him understand his physical condition at any time. He did not believe that it only had that effect. He suspected that this thing could report all his actions to him. But he still insisted that this was the metal of the Saint, and when his strength reached level 5 at the age of 30, he could join the Saint. He did not agree with Mrs. Yuna to join the Saint. He did not know that before he completed the 3-year agreement, Mrs. Yuna had the right to distribute everything of him. He used the metal and was surprised that it could not distinguish his type of mutation. He explained to him that it could only recognize from level 1 to level 36, which meant that he had not reached level 1. He thanked him for not wanting him to die, otherwise he would have hurt him. He left and gave him a day off, and made an appointment with him tomorrow to give him an unforgettable month. He smiled happily and looked forward to the next month. In the house where he was sitting and cultivating, he noticed something and opened his eyes. It was none other than Mr. Luan who came. He asked him why he had no sense of alertness. But he only answered that it was useless to be alert. Everyone here wanted him to die, so he just wanted to take advantage of the time to cultivate a little instead of avoiding difficulties and fear. Then he faced it bravely and his face became serious. Luan told him to come and hold his hand. He shrank back and wondered why he had to hold his hand. He smirked and explained that he just wanted him to know the effect of the metal. Luan held his hand and he also felt the function of the metal. He scratched his head and nodded, not understanding what was going on. Luan did not say anything more, just told him to follow him to receive training. And he went to the large training area. He asked him if he knew why there was no protective barrier here. He quickly answered that it was because each leader was a good protective barrier. He punched him and confirmed that his answer was correct. And he said that now he was also a member of the Saint. He hugged his head and shed tears, why he was still beaten when he answered correctly. Luan stood up proudly and said that the words of the superior were always right. Obeying all the orders of the superior was the first rule of the Saint. He looked at him with wide eyes and thought that the Saint was all about military management. Luan said that although his mutation had not reached level 1, his cosmic energy could enter the 2nd level of cultivation. So he would teach him the 2nd stage cultivation method. He could only thank him, and he sneered that he might not thank him soon. You're wearing a bulky, large suit, but you feel you can still bear it. That's until you hear him say you have to suck out all your cosmic energy. Upon hearing this, you open your eyes wide in surprise. After the suction, you immediately feel the suit you're wearing is too heavy. You have to carry this cumbersome suit and run laps around the field. If you're not careful, you trip and fall, your face showing clear exhaustion. But you still try to get up and continue training. Each step is your entire effort and perseverance. Lewin didn't expect you to run more laps than he anticipated. He planned to only train that much for the day and was about to tell you to rest. But you look at him with that determined look and say that even if you fall, let you stand up by yourself. The nutrition that Lewin prepared for you was all consumed by you. But Lewin feels that spending so much on expensive things is worth it. Lewin has two opposing thoughts. The angel wants to let you rest a bit, but the devil says that the initial stage needs to be brutal. Suddenly, you fall hard, startling him. He was about to help you up when he realized that the restraint he had put on you had broken and exploded, shaking the ground. You appear with bright eyes. You stand up in the thick smoke caused by the big explosion. Lewin is extremely confused as to how you could break his restraint. The current gap is 10 levels. He frowns, unable to believe what is happening before his eyes. Is this a miracle? The head of the sect comes over and says that this is indeed a miracle but not a miracle. In the end, she laughs and says unexpectedly Lam has such good eyes. Just looking at a person can become a treasure sword. She continues to say that she hopes to see you have the power of a 3-level manipulator. He was startled to hear that because usually, it takes a year of hard training to achieve that. But she just told him to look at the amazing things you bring and let you use the holy dike. He glanced and felt that she valued you too much. The holy dike is researched by the most mysterious organization, St. Ming. It can enhance the ultimate strength of the body. Only about 100 milliliters is formulated each year. She told him to use 10 milliliters for you. He was very puzzled. Wasn't the most holy dike used no more than 5 milliliters? She just sternly said that he didn't need to know, so don't ask anymore. You are still lying on the ground. Lewin calls you to get up and go back, but you still lie there. When you return home and wake up, you still feel sore. You only remember before fainting that you seem to have leveled up. You touch the metal and are reported to have leveled up the cosmic energy and the special ability. You are happy and excited to squint your eyes. You feel like you're flying. Don't know when Lewin has been sitting there watching you. You shyly sit down to greet your teacher Lewin. He slammed down on the chair and complained that you used so much holy dike, but why there was no reaction. Lewin's face was black and puzzled why the saint liquid had no effect on his body. He smiled nervously and begged his teacher to calm down. He innocently said that he would compensate him. But he pointed at him and said that the value of that thing had exceeded 100 million cosmic dollars. He laughed foolishly and then realized the huge number of 100 million cosmic dollars. On the training ground, he said that the water in his body had turned into sweat. How could he urinate 5 times a day? Despite his words, Lewin only talked about his injection of saint liquid and the order of the leader. He laughed and put his hands on his hips and shouted that the leader wanted him to break the limit. He had to urinate even if he could not. He was shocked by his teacher's words. He also pointed at his face and said that he had to train for 3 months instead of 1 month. But contrary to his expectation, his face brightened when he heard that he would train for 3 more months. He grinned and ran happily when he got 2 more months of training. Seeing his attitude, he thought he was very strange. He liked such hard training. She appeared and told him not to worry about the saint liquid. Because of his strong will, they might not be able to resist him. The two sat next to each other and he asked him if Lam Miss was a mutant or not. Of course, not surprisingly, Lam Miss was also the heir of the entire Finey family. Her grandfather was the greatest pride of the water system. Her parents were one of the first leaders. She herself also had the highest talent of the saint. He wanted to ask her mutation level, but he was told by him that he could not compare with her even if he was crazy. He also said that in his opinion, he could never compare with her in his life. But he still comforted him because Lam had chosen him, maybe because he had potential. He was very happy when Lewin cheered for him. He told him to suck blood and he resisted. He was not a Black Sound mutant. He never thought that there were vampires like that. After a while of chatting, he went back to training. He flew fast and collided with the protective area. His teacher stood there laughing at his face. After 3 months of training, Tian Nan had reached level 3 and was about to enter level 4. He was injured all over. His teacher came to class because his last lesson was to beat his teacher. With a face full of wounds, he looked up at him. In the fight, he hit him hard, he spat blood. He tried to crawl to his armor, but he said he did not have enough time to use the armor. He reached out and turned on the thunderbolt gun, as if he wanted to die together. He panicked, afraid that he couldn't run anymore. A blue block appeared to block that bullet. She appeared just in time. She believed that Thien Nan knew how to use his power to escape from here. She believed that he could fulfill their 3-year agreement. She added that this was just a lesson she had arranged. He was just testing your reaction to danger. Facing each other, his sharp eyes asked if he wanted you to be poor. But instead of answering, he asked back why you knew there was a thunderbolt gun in the armor. You confidently crossed your arms with your knowledge. The structure of the armor is not just that. You also begged Lewin to give you that armor. He solemnly replied that you couldn't take the things here. Your face darkened because you couldn't get the armor. Lewin praised you as the best among the low-level special abilities he had ever taught. He hoped that you could surpass him. After saying that, he gave you a private gift. The ring can turn into a short gold sword. Inside it also has a 5-year thunderbolt that can penetrate 100 degrees of defense. You quickly grabbed it before he changed his mind. Finally, he turned his face and told you to go, reminding you to practice diligently and to behave appropriately in the face of danger. You bowed to thank the teacher who had taught you for the past 3 months. Without saying anything more, he flew away. She also said goodbye to you, still reminding you of the 3-year appointment of the two. You returned to the academy. Each step was heavy as you walked aimlessly around the campus. Suddenly, you heard someone's words. You quickly turned around to look. It was a girl with short red hair. She emphasized that you wouldn't be able to escape this time. Then she suddenly rushed to punch Thien Nan in the mouth. But you had gently dodged to the side to avoid. The girl lost her balance and was about to fall face down on the ground. Thien Nan also ran out of words, kindly held her back and asked if the lady was okay. The two faces were close together, making her blush, and quickly pushed him away, scolding him for daring to call her a lady. But he explained that if he didn't know her, calling her a lady was correct. The girl kicked him in the lower body, but she was still green and was caught by him and asked if she had a grudge against me. The girl was angry, grabbed his collar and recounted the graduation day. It was because of Thien Nan that she couldn't graduate. Thien Nan only remembered at this time. She hurriedly explained that it was because she bumped into me that the girl jumped up and demanded compensation. The back and forth words of the two had attracted a crowd of onlookers. Seeing Thien Nan in trouble, some people ridiculed him. Seeing them like that, wanting to resolve the matter quickly, he asked the girl what she wanted to let him go. The girl told him to die before she would let him go. Thien Nan didn't agree, so the two continued to argue. Suddenly a teacher appeared and asked Tumai. When something happened, the two looked at each other in the direction of the voice. This person is Tueden, the teacher of breaking technique, nicknamed Fire Mountain Heaven's Grace, and Tueden looked at each other. Tueden ran over to hold Thien Nan and said Dat Mong missed him very much. Why didn't he contact him? Thien Nan hurriedly explained that he was going to visit the teacher. The crowd was surprised why Tueden didn't go in. Thien Nan had a chance. The girl asked him to avenge her for not being able to graduate. Tueden revealed that it wasn't this year that only he could graduate. The girl too might blame Thien Nan. Thien Nan accepted his mistake without arguing. Tumai wanted to say more, but teacher Tueden stopped her. He said that if you can't graduate, you can only blame yourself. His face showed sadness for his younger brother. Tumai was angry and left, blaming him for siding with an outsider. She also threatened Thien Nan to wait and see. Teacher Tueden told the losers to disperse and then took him to meet Dat Mong. Dat Mong was very happy to see him again. He thought he was captured and worried about him every day. Thien Nan thanked him and apologized for making him worry. Then they sat down and talked. Thien Nan told them everything. Dat Mong was surprised that he was recruited by Yuna Lady and joined the Holy Alliance. They revealed their professions to their younger brother, who was amazed. Tueden was a fire-type mutant of level 30. Dat Mong was a wind-type mutant of level 30. Thien Nan was shocked that they hid their professions so well. Dat Mong regretted that Thien Nan was taken away by Yuna Lady, otherwise he could follow them and join the supervision department. Thien Nan thought to himself that he didn't want to either, but he was forced. Tueden asked him what he would do in the future. He said he would go home to visit his family and then practice his mutation. Tueden praised him, but he said that his teacher taught him that space-type mutation was rare. Moreover, it was also difficult to learn. He asked Dat Mong if there was anyone in the Holy Alliance who was a space-type mutant, even if he had a weird personality. Dat Mong suddenly remembered someone. Tueden felt sorry for his younger brother, because he was about to suffer a lot. Tian Nan was happy to hear that he would have a master soon. Teacher Dat Mong said he had found a master for him, but he had to tell him a few things about him first. His name was Ma Nai, the leader of the illusionists of the Holy Emperor Star. He did not belong to any faction in the Holy Alliance, but he had a certain influence in it. His personality was also very eccentric. Dat Mong was worried for Tian Nan, but he said it was no problem. He surprised Dat Mong. He vowed to reach level 10 in no more than 3 years. Seeing Tian Nan like that, the teacher was relieved and said that he and Tueden would go to the Magic Illusion Star. He said that after reaching level 10, he would also leave. He gave him a device that was the center of the Holy Alliance members. It helped to determine his exact position in the universe. He refused to accept it, because Dat Mong had helped him too much. But the teacher said he was his disciple, so it was fine. Then he put it in his pocket. On the way back, he heard a familiar voice. Tian Nan recognized her as the person he once loved deeply, but then she left him for another guy. She approached him and wanted to rekindle their old love, but he was still calm and backed away. She apologized to him, but he thanked her for making him wake up. And he said that Tian Nan would one day show her what a real man was, then he walked away. But Tian Nan called him back and asked if he killed Oi Lim. He did not deny it, but she said that he was a waste. Then she immediately knew what a waste was. Tian Nan choked her with his mutant power, but then he let her go. He always welcomed her to take revenge. As soon as he stepped out to the gate, he met Xiao Mai and a bunch of simps who were seduced by her. Tian Nan said coldly, "If you don't want to die, get out of here." They were afraid and did not dare to advance. But they were manipulated by Xiao Mai. She said that whoever could beat Tian Nan would be her boyfriend. Encouraged by her, they grabbed weapons and attacked Tian Nan together. One of them rushed forward and was caught by Tian Nan, making Xiao Mai and the guy next to her panic. The other men ran into Tian Nan like moths to a flame. But before they could touch him, he had already reached one of them and punched him in the face, making everyone around him surprised. One of them tried to hit him with a stick, but he was immediately grabbed by the head and kneed in the face by Tian Nan, making him bleed. Another one tried to stab Tian Nan with a knife, but he easily dodged to one side. Suddenly, from behind, one of them used an electric shotgun to hit Tian Nan secretly, making him unable to avoid and fall to the ground. The one who used the electric shotgun kicked Tian Nan's head fiercely, then stepped on his stomach and taunted him, "Aren't you very powerful?" Tian Nan was angry and told him to get his foot off him if he didn't want to die. He was a bit scared, but still stubbornly kicked Tian Nan and joined the other men in trampling on him. Xiao Mai came to Tian Nan's face and said, "If you had apologized, you wouldn't have ended up like this." She asked Tian Nan to bow his head and apologize, and she would spare him, but he remained silent. Xiao Mai cursed him, "Are you mute? Why don't you say anything?" Suddenly, a white light flashed from Tian Nan's right eye, making Xiao Mai startled. He saw that Tian Nan's eyes were like containing the universe inside. He just pointed at the one who used the electric shotgun and broke his leg, making him scream miserably. Tian Nan asked the others if they also wanted to suffer like that, making them scared and run away. He turned to Xiao Mai coldly and warned her to apologize to him or he would not spare her. But she yelled at him to die. Tian Nan grabbed her neck and asked her if she didn't beg for her life. Then he threw her down and turned his back, telling her to take care of herself, because he might not see her again. After finishing his business at school, Tian Nan jumped over the high walls to return to Wudin, his hometown. It was a place where the galaxy restricted all the people living in the slums from accessing advanced scientific knowledge. All the poor people could do was use resources to survive. In a small house in the slum in Wudin City, Tian Nan's mother, who looked thin and weak, was holding his clothes. The door in front of her opened and it turned out to be Tian Nan's father who had returned. He told Tian Nan's mother that the Saints had agreed to help them find their son. Tian Nan's mother was happy and worried, because he had graduated for 3 months and he still hadn't come home. Suddenly, a voice came from outside. She turned around and saw that Tian Nan had returned. This made his parents overjoyed. Tian Nan's mother asked him why he didn't come back, making them worry to death, thinking that he had encountered some danger. Tian Nan smiled and scratched his head, telling his parents that he had graduated smoothly, and he was even an excellent student. His mother urged him to rest, because he must have been tired from taking the public airship. But he didn't go right away, but asked his mother how she knew about the airship. Was it Mr. Han Mong who told her? Tian Nan's mother looked kind and told him that it was thanks to the Saints who taught them knowledge. The Saintess was the one who brought hope to them. And she told Tian-nan to go see the Saintess tomorrow, maybe she would notice him. Tian-nan had returned to his room to practice. His cosmic energy had reached the third level of the second stage. His mutation had also reached the third level, which made him very happy. He was about to take a shower, but suddenly he felt a sharp pain in his chest. Then he realized that he still had another mutation, which was the space-type mutation. He remembered his teacher's words about the fate of those who had two mutations. Most of them died of violent death, which made Tian-nan a little scared and fell asleep until the next morning. His father called him from upstairs to come down for breakfast. He told them about the reward of 1,000 cosmic coins and wanted to give it to his mother. But his mother refused and told Tian-nan to keep it for his future work. She said that his intention was enough to make them happy. Tian-nan was touched and kept the money. He vowed to himself that he would work hard to repay his parents. After breakfast, his father took Tian-nan to the place where the holy woman lived. It was a high tower. The holy woman appeared with her light blue hair, very beautiful and lovely. She was using her hand to lift her hair up. Tian-nan asked his father if the person on the top of the tower was the holy woman. His father said yes and asked him if he thought she was very beautiful. Tian-nan looked up at the holy woman and thought to himself that maybe she was not a bad person. After seeing the holy woman, his heart suddenly throbbed, causing him to feel pain and clutch his chest. He fell to the ground. His father was very worried and asked him if he was okay. But when he touched Tian-nan, he was repelled by something and fell to the ground. While everyone did not know how to help, the holy woman flew down from the tower and approached him. She asked Malai uncle what was wrong with him. His father begged her to help and save Tian-nan, and she agreed to check on him. The holy woman touched his head and transmitted a warm stream of cosmic energy that surrounded Tian-nan, making him very comfortable. The feeling was both warm and gentle. At the same time, the touch also made the holy woman discover that he had two types of mutations. They were the black type and the white type mutations that were conflicting with each other inside him, creating a terrifying pressure that made her feel like she could not breathe. To make it easier to treat him, the holy woman suggested to take Tian-nan to her home. Although everyone told his father not to bother the holy woman, she still decided to take him to her home. After letting Tian-nan rest at her home for a while, he woke up and felt better. The holy woman told him that when he woke up, she wanted to talk to him for a bit. Tian-nan thanked her for helping him suppress the abnormality in his body. But she did not accept it and said that she did not do anything to help him. She just said that she was helping someone who needed help. Then the holy woman looked serious and told Tian-nan that since they were born, they were destined to be each other's enemies. He was very puzzled why he was an enemy of her. The holy woman told him that he was supposed to be born on May 31st, 315 of the cosmic calendar, and she was born to be his opponent. Tian-nan said that it was impossible and maybe she was mistaken. In response to his words, the holy woman said that she did not expect to meet him so soon. Then she moved closer and held his hand. She said that he really made it hard for her to choose. Tian-nan wondered why, but she ignored him and said nothing. She ignored Tian-nan's question. She took his hand and looked at the badge in his hand, then asked him if he had joined the Holy Alliance. The action of touching his hand made her pure soul bite. The dark power in him made him feel very painful and even disgusted. At this time, the Saintess asked Tian-nan what his name was and if he could tell her. But he pulled his hand away from the Saintess and said his name was Tian-nan. She said he must hate her, which was true as he felt from the beginning in his soul. Then the Saintess told him not to call her the Saintess anymore, but to call her Bakhop. Bakhop explained that her name represented the spirit and life. The fragrance that emanated from her was the meaning in her name. Tian-nan frowned doubtfully and asked her if she came here just to spread the fragrance and who sent her here. Bakhop answered him that she was here by her own decision, not by anyone else. And she just hoped that the people here could live happily and joyfully. Tian-nan gave a sneer. He looked at her seriously and asked her if the Alliance had more than 1,000 planets and at least 800 slums, could she make them all happy and joyful? Wasn't she afraid of facing the punishment of the Galaxy Alliance? But in response, Bakhop just said that she alone could not. Now it was not possible, but it did not mean that it would never be possible. Because it was something that needed the cooperation of countless people to complete. Even if she had to face the punishment of the Galaxy Alliance, so what, because it was her dream. Tian-nan was angry and shouted that it was enough, she didn't need to say anymore. Bakhop quickly realized that his soul was being controlled by the dark power, so she told him to calm down and not let the dark power control his soul. Her words seemed to calm Tian-nan down. But as soon as she finished speaking, a bunch of dark energy from Tian-nan's body shot out and attacked Bakhop as if he wanted her to shut up. But it was quickly blocked by the silver-white energy that came out of her hand. Then Bakhop simultaneously entered Tian-nan's subconscious. In his worldview, she concentrated and gathered a large amount of energy and then pushed it into his body, making his soul scream. After a while, sweat began to drip, Bakhop's face also faded, but everything was done. She walked over and hugged Tian-nan, feeling glad that he was okay. She waited a little longer for Tian-nan's body to fully absorb that energy before she felt relieved, feeling that she just needed to rest. Suddenly, some strange sounds came from there, so she politely invited Tian-nan in to talk more. Tian-nan declined her invitation, and she didn't feel annoyed, but instead asked Tian-nan why he had free time to come and see her, because he seemed to be very afraid of her. Tian-nan was about to explain, but was stopped by Bakhop. She hoped he could see her as a friend. She sadly asked if he wanted to leave. Tian-nan admitted that cultivating outside would help him improve more. Hearing this, Bakhop was silent and had to accept to let him go. She said that everyone had different goals. After a silence, Tian-nan wondered why she always protected this place. She didn't even have a hobby, didn't she feel lonely? Bakhop heard that and asked what if the people here heard what he said. Realizing that he was a bit rude, Tian-nan embarrassedly replied that he would surely be buried by them. After joking a few words, Bakhop suddenly became serious. She told Tian-nan that he had his own goal to pursue, and she also had her own goal. Moreover, everyone here was her friend, he didn't need to worry. Tian-nan nodded and then asked Bakhop why she didn't join the Holy Alliance, because her cultivation level was not low. He also wondered what she was cultivating. Bakhop heard that and laughed at him as a fool. She said that if she joined the Holy Alliance, she would not be able to do what she was doing now. As for her cultivation level, it was a secret. Seeing Tian-nan's helpless expression, after getting the answer, she slowly continued that she believed that in the near future, he would also achieve the same strength as her. After saying that, they parted ways. Before that, Tian-nan also affirmed to Bakhop that he would definitely become a very strong power user. Seeing Tian-nan's figure getting farther and farther away, Bakhop lingered and reached out to call him back. But then she decided to give up and looked at his departing figure with sorrow. Back to Tian-nan, he returned to the Star Palace on the second day. This is the largest transfer station, from here you can go to the planet that Dat Mong mentioned. At that time, Tian-nan was holding a cup of coffee in his hand and walking, accidentally seeing the scene of a crowd beating up a thief. While he was still surprised, a man dressed in luxury shouted and cursed at the thief who had begged for mercy. The rich man became angry and grabbed a stick to break the thief's arm. Luckily, Tian-nan intervened in time. He threw a few punches and the crowd was thrown away. He looked at them and frowned, saying they were bullying the weak, and asked if they had any skills. The young man who was saved by him immediately hugged Tian-nan's leg and begged him. He said his family had an old mother and children and pleaded for him to save his life. The crowd then warned him not to interfere with their business. He said he was ignorant and had offended them. Then he ordered his men to attack him. The thugs surrounded Tian-nan. But his attention was on the annoying man who kept looking at him with admiration. He said he was a man and should not be so cowardly. At that moment, each bodyguard took out a gun. Tian-nan was not surprised, he just angrily said that the law had banned guns but they dared to use them. Hearing him say that, the rich man challenged him. He ordered his men to shoot and said he would take responsibility. But then they were all immobilized by an invisible force. And while the rich man was distracted, Tian-nan had a knife in his hand and slowly approached him. Seeing the danger, a bodyguard quickly pulled the trigger and a bullet hit the young man's shoulder. Tian-nan was shocked and quickly ran to check on him. The young man said he was fine and even criticized the bodyguard's shooting skills. The bodyguards were angry and said that they would kill both of them today. But before they could take back their words, Tian-nan glared at them. He said they were the ones who would die, and then a black aura appeared and attacked them brutally. After successfully defeating the troublemakers, Tian-nan suddenly felt dizzy. He remembered Bakhop's warning that he should never use the dark power unless it was a life-threatening situation. That sentence made Tian-nan worried. But he quickly threw it aside. He looked at the young man he cared about and asked him if he could still move. After receiving a positive signal, he grabbed his collar and used the flying technique to fly straight into the air. He ignored the other guy's constant struggle because of fear. The scene changed. At this time, the two of them were outside the campus. The other guy thanked Tian Nan sincerely for saving him and then quickly ran away. But Tian Nan called him back and asked him how he got his special power. The other guy was puzzled and asked back. He thought Tian Nan wanted a reward and refused right away. Tian Nan calmly said that he was not interested in money. He wanted to know about his special power. But before he could finish his sentence, the other guy screamed. He thought Tian Nan wanted to repay him with his body. However, this thought of his was quickly kicked away by Tian Nan. Tian Nan approached him and kept asking him about his special power. But he acted like he didn't know what Tian Nan was talking about. Seeing that he couldn't get any information from him, Tian Nan reluctantly let it go. Then he asked about the identity of the young man there, so she politely invited Tian Nan in to talk more. Tian Nan declined her invitation, and she didn't feel annoyed, but instead asked Tian Nan why he had free time to come and see her, because he seemed to be very afraid of her. Tian Nan was about to explain, but was stopped by Bok Hop. She hoped he could see her as a friend. She sadly asked if he wanted to leave. Tian Nan admitted that cultivating outside would help him improve more. Hearing this, Bok Hop was silent and had to accept to let him go. She said that everyone had different goals. After a silence, Tian Nan wondered why she always protected this place. She didn't even have a hobby, didn't she feel lonely? Bok Hop heard that and asked what if the people here heard what he said. Realizing that he was a bit rude, Tian Nan embarrassedly replied that he would surely be buried by them. After joking a few words, Bok Hop suddenly became serious. She told Tian Nan that he had his own goal to pursue, and she also had her own goal. Moreover, everyone here was her friend, he didn't need to worry. Tian Nan nodded and then asked Bok Hop why she didn't join the Holy Alliance, because her cultivation level was not low. He also wondered what she was cultivating. Bok Hop heard that and laughed at him as a fool. She said that if she joined the Holy Alliance, she would not be able to do what she was doing now. As for her cultivation level, it was a secret. Seeing Tian Nan's helpless expression, after getting the answer, she slowly continued that she believed that in the near future, he would also achieve the same strength as her. After saying that, they parted ways. Before that, Tian Nan also affirmed to Bok Hop that he would definitely become a very strong power user. Seeing Tian Nan's figure getting farther and farther away, Bok Hop lingered and reached out to call him back. But then she decided to give up and looked at his departing figure with sorrow. Back to Tian Nan, he returned to the Star Palace on the second day. This is the largest transfer station, from here you can go to the planet that Dat Mong mentioned. At that time, Tian Nan was holding a cup of coffee in his hand and walking, accidentally seeing the scene of a crowd beating up a thief. While he was still surprised, a man dressed in luxury shouted and cursed at the thief who had begged for mercy. The rich man became angry and grabbed a stick to break the thief's arm. Luckily, Tian Nan intervened in time. He threw a few punches and the crowd was thrown away. He looked at them and frowned, saying they were bullying the weak and asked if they had any skills. The young man who was saved by him immediately hugged Tian Nan's leg and begged him. He said his family had an old mother and children and pleaded for him to save his life. The crowd then warned him not to interfere with their business. He said he was ignorant and had offended them. Then he ordered his men to attack him. The thugs surrounded Tian Nan. But his attention was on the annoying man who kept looking at him with admiration. He said he was a man and should not be so cowardly. At that moment, each bodyguard took out a gun. Tian Nan was not surprised, he just angrily said that the law had banned guns but they dared to use them. Hearing him say that, the rich man challenged him. He ordered his men to shoot and said he would take responsibility. But then they were all immobilized by an invisible force. And while the rich man was distracted, Tian Nan had a knife in his hand and slowly approached him. Seeing the danger, a bodyguard quickly pulled the trigger and a bullet hit the young man's shoulder. Tian Nan was shocked and quickly ran to check on him. The young man said he was fine and even criticized the bodyguard's shooting skills. The bodyguards were angry and said that they would kill both of them today. But before they could take back their words, Tian Nan glared at them. He said they were the ones who would die, and then a black aura appeared and attacked them brutally. After successfully defeating the troublemakers, Tian Nan suddenly felt dizzy. He remembered Bok Hop's warning that he should never use the dark power unless it was a life-threatening situation. That sentence made Tian Nan worried. But he quickly threw it aside. He looked at the young man he cared about and asked him if he could still move. After receiving a positive signal, he grabbed his collar and used the flying technique to fly straight into the air. He ignored the other guy's constant struggle because of fear. The scene changed. At this time, the two of them were outside the campus. The other guy thanked Tian-nan sincerely for saving him and then quickly ran away. But Tian-nan called him back and asked him how he got his special power. The other guy was puzzled and asked back. He thought Tian-nan wanted a reward and refused right away. Tian-nan calmly said that he was not interested in money. He wanted to know about his special power. But before he could finish his sentence, the other guy screamed. He thought Tian-nan wanted to repay him with his body. However, this thought of his was quickly kicked away by Tian-nan. Tian-nan approached him and kept asking him about his special power. But he acted like he didn't know what Tian-nan was talking about. Seeing that he couldn't get any information from him, Tian-nan reluctantly let it go. Then he asked about the identity of the young man. He said his name was Fong Vien, meaning someone who always had ambition. He also said he was a local orphan. Then he seemed to realize the situation and asked Tian-nan what he meant by his next sentence. Tian-nan didn't answer directly. He smiled and put his arm around Fong Vien's shoulder. He said his talent was not bad and invited him to follow him. This made Fong Vien feel very confused. He was scared and ran to the two policemen who were standing there. He begged them to save his life. He pointed at Tian-nan and said he was a thief who wanted to rob him. He signaled them to come and catch him. Facing the two policemen who were on guard, Tian-nan just calmly took out his controller badge. The policemen saw it and immediately greeted him respectfully. They also apologized for being rude. Seeing the unbelievable scene in front of him, Fong Vien was scared and thought that even the police were Tian-nan's subordinates. Tian-nan gestured that he and Fong Vien had to deal with some things and they didn't need to worry. The two policemen left. After that, Tian-nan praised Fong Vien for being smart for trying to find the police to catch him. Fong Vien still refused his offer. He said he was used to living alone and didn't want to be his follower. He even accused him of limiting his freedom. But Tian-nan didn't care much about his words. He was interested in his personality and decided to propose to be friends. He said he had a spatial power that could help and support him to improve his strength. They could explore new worlds together. Fong Vien was surprised. He wondered why he wanted to be friends with a thief like him. Tian-nan confirmed that he did. He even gave him the choice to stay or leave. After thinking for a while, Fong Vien still chose to stay. He sincerely apologized. He realized that forcing someone to follow him was useless. Tian-nan had to leave. But soon after, Fong Vien appeared unexpectedly. He agreed to go with Tian-nan. But only if he could save him from the people who were chasing him from behind. Hearing Fong Vien's plea, Tian-nan took the opportunity to lure him along. In a critical situation, Fong Vien agreed with his life. Tian-nan used his dark power to quickly defeat one after another. They felt scared and tried to run, but it was too late. The black aura surrounded Tian-nan, and he used a big move to wipe out everyone without leaving anyone behind. Fong Vien stood on one side with his mouth open in astonishment. The scene changed and the two of them went somewhere else. Tian-nan asked Fong Vien if he was okay. But he only cared about Tian-nan's power. He said he would follow Tian-nan from now on, and in return he had to teach him that power. Tian-nan thought he wanted to be stronger so he could steal without being caught. Fong Vien denied it and said who would steal if they had food to eat. But he said if he lost something in the future, he would blame him. Tian-nan then said that Fong Vien's stealing skills were very scary. But Fong Vien showed a sad and depressed face because the valuable things were all using science and technology, and if not, he would have run away long ago. At this time, Tian-nan asked him if he had ever practiced cosmic energy. Fong Vien said he had only heard of it and only the rich and college students could practice it.